Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So, with the update of the game, one thing that I didn't necessarily think of that is going to happen, but happened, is the fact that we can actually see Guillotine's deathless abilities in the game. We haven't had a deep dive, we haven't had a sneak peek, and needless to say, well, she's extremely anticipated champion to be joining the game because a lot of people have, waited for a long time, have hyped up this entire deathless thing, and with that, a lot of people put in a lot of work to be on track of acquiring her later this month when we're gonna get the last two missing pieces with the banquet event and with some objective challenge type thing. So she looks cool, as we all expected, and OG Guillotine always has been one of the more satisfying champions to play. With the giant sword, with the dots, it always felt like really nice and pleasant to play, and I do want to acknowledge that. But when I took a look at her abilities, I was extremely confused. Because that effectively is the old Guillotine kit. And there are changes. There are changes to the kit, and I can name all of them effectively. She has higher crit rate than she originally had, more potent damage over time effects, and those are degens, which is, more capable damage over time debuff than the bleeds are overall, even though you lose deep wounds mastery potential. But in general, far fewer champions are immune to degeneration. Additionally, she only loses half of her souls on the special 3, which means you don't need to use it as a complete cash out of the fight. She gains soul every 5% of the damage dealt instead of every 6% of the damage dealt. And that's about it. So ultimately, it still seems really lazy. And this is like where it's hard not to feel utterly kind of disappointed. Obviously, again, I kind of like the old Guillotine, and I don't necessarily think that the Guillotine's buff, I think the Guillotine's buff was one of the biggest blunders Kabam made, because it was a community vote buff, and they made her, barely if better than she was, and it made no impact, and it again was extremely disappointing experience, and there are people making arguments that they would have preferred the old version of Guillotine. Well, now we're kind of getting that, just slightly better than the old version of Guillotine. At the same time, I think it's quite safe to say that this is not what the community expected. And this just seems lazy as fuck. Especially all the time that we have spent talking about the Deathless Champions, and Kabam did on their live streams, talking about working on their kits. Again, this is something that seems like somebody did, 25 minutes just before she had to be thrown in. It just seems kind of like a rush, lazy, last-minute type of thing. And the discussion here doesn't even go for whether she's going to be a strong or not a strong champion. I get it. These Deathless Champions aren't necessarily meant to be meta champions. And I'm fine with that. It, however, doesn't mean that they need to effectively reintroduce them with exactly the same boring old kit from... When did Guillotine get added to the game? 2016? I think one of the things that Kabam, pats themselves on the back, and community has obviously acknowledged, is the fact that champions do have more abilities. They are more complex. They do more things, and that's cool. When we go to the ability list of the old champions, well, this is how they look, basically. This looks like a champion that would have been made when the game just launched. There's literally zero ability on her level 1. Level 1 does nothing. It's like, why do you do that? It's like, how hard would it be to put some bleeds on her level 1, or degens, or something, And again, not talking about making her OP or anything like that. This has to be the laziest garbage that they have pulled off recently. And again, to be clear, not saying she has to be OP. Not saying they needed to do completely, a new champion like kit at all. Like there's something. This effectively doesn't equate to a new kit to a guillotine. This equates to a tune-up to a guillotine. This is what we expect when champion balancing is like, okay, so Danny Moonstar sucks, we're gonna tune her up. These are literally the changes of a tune-up, slightly more crit rate, bit more potent dot, you know, only lose half. That's literally a champion tune-up. Not a new champion, it's not a redesign of an old champion. It's again somebody strolling in last minute in the work, and just spending like 15 minutes jazzing up some numbers slightly, doing a test fight and saying, fuck it, that will do. And I still stand by what I said. I think Kabam has been, doing well overall recently. And I think this whole nameless thing is, cool. So far, they have conducted themselves very well with the whole nameless champion thing. Doing it right. They're letting us know how many champions are going to be. They're telling us how we're going to acquire. They're reassuring us that, they will not require monetary spend. Therefore, people who do not spend on the game or spend very little feel encouraged to actually participate in all the game modes and go and hunt for these guillotine pieces. And, it is a buzz in the community. And this is kind of how you kill it, This is how you lose people interest. Because, this isn't exciting. This is lazy. I don't know. The Deathless Guillotine, new champion getting added to the game in 2023, and they can't even bother giving her an ability on her level 1. Why? Why? Obviously, her SIG is going to be, irrelevant for a really long time and whatever. And then the SIG ability taken away, it's like literally what's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of abilities. That's her soul mechanic, and she can reverse the heal, and level 3 has DJ. And for the final time, this, because I swear to God, if I'm going to read, because that's what, you have to deal in the comments. And I think the people kind of missed the point there. In comments, obviously, somebody points out that the guillotine basically has the old kit, and then immediately, the White Knight Brigade is like, these aren't supposed to be game-breaking meta champions. It's like, fine. Nobody's screaming for her to be good, and I want to make sure that people, watching this video understand. I'm not saying that she has to be game-breaking. Saying, don't be fucking lazy, Kabam. And, there's a lot of these. The point isn't to get a super good champion. Nobody's asking for a super good champion. This has the feeling of a younger sibling grabbing a work, like an essay of an older sibling, changing the name, changing like few words in the essay and handing it as their own. This just feels wrong. And I'm excited to try her. I'm not excited, I will try her out. I might like her because I kind of like the old guillotine. But this is lazy as fuck. A serious company wouldn't do that. A serious person wouldn't do that. They wouldn't, grab an old kit from an extremely old champion and just jiggle a few numbers on it. I guess the best way to describe this just reeks of immense disappointment. I saw it. I can't really be like properly angry. And again, because I had my expectations low as is, I didn't expect, Guillotine to be awesome champion or something. But I expected that to be something new, something interesting. This isn't that. And, again, the forums go and do their forum thing. It's like, what part you don't understand is not meant to be game breaking. Fine. It doesn't have to be game breaking. Put in a bit of care, put in a bit of work. Again, this isn't, again, 20 minutes, random dude on the forums do more meaningful change the guillotine. It's just depressing. That's what it feels hollow, depressing, and lazy. Disappointing. And it's a shame. It's really a shame because stuff like this is what I believe, at least for me, definitely kind of killed the excitement. And I think the same probably will be said for a lot of other players. We brought this up on the live stream. We check out the chat, and everybody is kind of befuddled. Everybody is kind of hoping this is a mistake, and Kabam, this is just like a placeholder kit. And I get it because it just seems so utterly dumb. When you first look at it, I didn't want to believe that Kabam would do this, and it's real. The one thing I hope is that, like, obviously they're not going to be changing her kit now. It's also a depressing thing to think about. I just hope they do a better job with the next ones. I really do. It's like, don't let the same person who worked on this guillotine do whatever the champion we're getting next, and actually, do some work, get some abilities, change the kit somewhat. Because this ain't it, cheap. This ain't it. And yeah, as I said, I like point out when Kabam does things that I like, and I will certainly point out when they do things that I don't like. And whilst ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't going to affect the game economy and things like that, but it definitely makes Kabam come across extremely kind of like lazy and disappointing. Let me know what you guys think about the brand new Nameless Guillotine. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye.
Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about